I'm going to add a few more tweaks to this animation. I kind of want to have this guy kind of come up and sort of hold the pose here a little bit longer. And if you notice down here under position that getting this sort of weird, fully different motion graph. What this is an acceleration of both position, X and Y. And this is something you may come across. If this ever happens to you, what you want to do is you want to separate the dimensions between X and Y. So under position, I'm going to right click on separate dimensions, and now we'll get the typical X position and Y position separately. That acceleration is kind of neat, it's kind of fun, but this is sort of where we're going here with this. Just look at the X-axis here. You can see these positions are really odd. Their curves are really whacked out. So I'm going to go through, select all the curves, then just hit F9 again, and that'll flatten the curves out. And sometimes not flatten them out correctly. What I really need to do is actually go through here and really smooth out the motion, because these plateau curves, they tend to plateau themselves out, and that's not really what we want to do. So I'm going to bring this up like this. And here, between these two peaks, what I want to do is kind of hold that pose and not have it go down immediately. And also, if you kind of notice too, it's not really all that great here. I'm just going to turn off this zoom. This motion here comes down and then sort of holds there for a second, then accelerates and decelerates. So I'm going to bring this value up. So what's going to happen is it's going to come up and hold for a second and then come down. And I almost want to have it hold and really press down quickly. Really come down and almost, I think down here, really not slow down at all. I'll pull this up a little bit so this is a little smoother motion upstairs. This guy here needs to be easy ease, so I'm going to hit F9 on that guy too to flatten him out. Good. So easy ease is kind of nice. You can actually do quite a lot of stuff with it. I think I kind of want this stuff to be pressing down. Yeah, let's take a look at that for a while. Let's take a look at the Y-axis. See what we have on that one. And just to zoom in. Let's look at just the Y-axis and zoom in again. Yeah, this definitely needs to be easy eased. It's just a mess as far as the curves go. Oops. Let's go back up again. Let's hit F9 there, and then that should flatten that out. And again, I think I need this to be also holding that pose, really extending the time quite a lot. And then this up and down motion. We'll see how that looks in a second. Okay, so now the squashed guy is not really responding, so I'm going to keep these guys locked open here, X and Y, and I'm going to go to the scale on the press square, hit that one, and then just zoom out. You can see this pressing scale here. That's going to be these keys here. So now I can zoom in. Again, Alt. Actually, hold the Alt middle mouse button. The middle mouse button can pan around. Alt middle mouse button can scale up and down. There we go. I need this to really come in a lot faster. So I'm going to bring this keyframe up on the X-axis, and that's really the squashing part, and also on the Y-axis. See, that times out. Now it's starting to anticipate the movement too fast. So I'm going to take the keys here and just move them over one frame. Okay, it's kind of coming back up, and what I need the major cube, the big cube, to come back up a little bit more. Hit those scales there, click on these guys and zoom into those. I think I just needed to hold the keyframe here. Again, I'm going to hold the control key down click and add a keyframe there. And here, that keyframe there, I'm just going to move him up like that, out of the way, so it is being pushed down. And now the squashed part, going back to the scale on this guy, it needs to have a key right about there for the squashing. So I'm going to have a keyframe here. Again, I know these keyframes here are for the press square, scale Y, and press square, scale X, and kind of roll your mouse over it. So I know that's where the keys are. Again, Alt, middle mouse button, I can zoom up. Alt, and just middle mouse drag, I can pan down. Hold the control key here and here. So it's like when I hit the control key there and there, it adds them to both of them, because this the scale here is, they're locked together. So I can grab this guy here and pull this one wider a little bit. This one is down a little bit. So you can sort of draw in the motion as you want to do it. Really, it doesn't stay down, or it doesn't go up again. So I'm just going to move those around a little bit. There's a little bit of a wiggle here where it's just kind of squishing up and down. I want to put the big guy to come back up and down on that one. So just do a little bit of an additional keyframe right here. I'm going to move that keyframe that already exists right there. Then I'm going to have them just push down a little further. Hopefully that's enough. Now this level of tweaking is really, just me being really kind of fussy with it. But I think you should try to really go after this kind of. You can still do a lot more. I mean, there's still a lot more to do. But I think for a beginning assignment, this is pretty good. So let's do 5 more of those. And once you do one, I think you're going to find it a lot easier. This is kind of a pretty difficult one, a little bit more effort, I think, than the other ones can need to be. So here's the flick one. So here's the new flick. Let's just make a few changes here. Again, go open to the transforms here for both the pressing square and the transforms for the press square. Go through here and just get rid of all these keys here in the beginning, or toward the end. You can keep the keyframes in the beginning. Those are fine. These guys as well, get rid of those. So now we have this animation of nothing going on. And so let me see if I can just really kind of make a change here for the better. Let's go, just for variety's sake, let's put this right here. And let's scale this down like this, because that's okay. We can do that, can't we? And this guy's going to be right there. Maybe rotated. And I'm going to move the pivot point with the center pivot point. Again, if you hold the control key down, you can center that right in the middle of the object. Or maybe I'll just put it off to one side here, because maybe that'll be, oh, I know, I'll put it right there. You'll see why in a second. All right, so now this guy's going to be here. And I'm going to move this guy's pivot point over here to that spot. And let's see what happens here. So I'm going to move this right there, and it seems to be a pretty good location. I'm going to rotate this back like this. That's pretty good. So I set a keyframe. All keyframes are set here and here. Good. And let's move ahead to a little less than a second. I'm going to move this guy here all the way through there. And right about there, I'm going to set a keyframe for this guy, just simply by doing a instead of press square, I'm going to call this flicked square. And flicking square. In this case, it's a rectangle. And this guy here, We'll set a keyframe for its position and rotation. And right here, it's going to start rotating around its pivot point. Oops. Oh, you know what? I didn't key the rotation. That's an important part. So make sure you key that first. Okay. Key from that one. I don't think scale and position is really going to have much of a thing. I mean, scale will not be. Position will definitely be. I think I'm going to have it zeroed out here. Yeah, I'm going to zero it out this way. And again, we'll copy the rotation. Control C, move it over here, and then Control V for the rotation. So it's going to stay there. It just kind of locks itself back. One keyframe here, I'm just going to pivot it like that. So we're going to see it immediately get kicked. And then we're going to have it fly away. Like that. And I'm going to try to actually animate the anchor point as well. So I like it pivoting around this point there. I'm not sure that's even necessary, actually, because it is starting to move. Yeah, actually, I'm going to move the position point here. I don't want it to move before it gets to that point. There you go. But from here, I don't want it to spin around that axis. If I do this and sort of spin it around this way, it's going to rotate around that axis like that, which will give it sort of a weird wobble, I think. Which is kind of fun for rotating across the ground plane. But in this frame between here and here, I need this pivot point to move. So I'm going to animate the anchor point here. Set a keyframe for the anchor point because I want to stay there. And I'm going to move it using that pivot point tool so that by here, it just moves right to the center of itself. Again, if you hold the control key down, it'll do that. So now it's actually going to spin from here on out around its own axis. I think I'm going to have this particular object here rotate around a little bit further on this keyframe. I think that's all a little bit too close up. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this square here. I'm going to make it a little bit larger, this direction. And I'm going to take all of them, all three of these guys, and parent them to another null object. So if I go to layer, again, null, new null, this is a real lifesaver. And take all these guys here, here, and here, and if I just drag all these simultaneously to that null, they all parent simultaneously. And then I can take the null object, I'm just going to offset it down here a little bit. Just move it down. So that way I get a little bit more of the thing coming in the space, and give me some options here, I think. So flick squares there, and I'm just going to have the position. Let's keyframe the position here. And rotation, you know, I'm actually going to not keyframe the rotation, keep the rotation kind of going continuously, and then back down there off the end. At the top one, we want to have that easy ease. I'm going to take all the keyframes, including rotation too, and do an easy ease. Again, F9. Shortcut for that. And let's go to position and rotation. Not the scale. I'm going to turn scale off. Just position and rotation. I'm going to turn this guy off here. I'll keep it on. The curve editor. Let's see what we see. Again, this position is not broken in two, so I always like to separate the dimensions. I should have done that ahead of time. Turn off these guys too, just keep those out of the way for now. And there you go. There's the X and Y position. Select that keyframe there and hit F9 again. Kind of loop that like that. I'm going to take this guy here, hit F9 too. And just get a nice curvature. And this one should actually be sort of linear right across here. It just is a continuous, there's nothing stopping it from going on the x-axis continuously. So I can actually delete these keys in between on the x-axis. That becomes really a linear horizontal movement. But this is a nice arc. Let's go to the rotation now. And I think the rotation should be a continuous rotation. Hold the Alt key here to lock that. I don't think it really needs to speed up or slow down. Go ahead and hit fit. If I select all these guys, I can select and fit just those keyframes there. Okay. Turn this off. Alt middle mouse button, scales. It's about as far as it scales, I guess. No biggie. And this one, I'll just take this guy and move it all the way down like that. And this one, I think for rotation, it's not going to really slow down its rotation. It's going to continue on. I'm going to have it just linearly. It gets kicked immediately, so it doesn't really have any slow down at all. Here. Almost immediately, just starts rotating. Bam. I think its position is to start a little earlier. Yeah, there we go. I can cheat this, or I can just simply cheat the rotation. I'm going to go ahead and cheat the rotation of the kicker. So there's rotation object. Yeah, that changed quite a bit. So let me just hit these guys and hit keyframe assistant, and I'm going to turn that keyframe interpolation to linear. Yeah. Let's pull this value down even further down here, so it kind of hits earlier. The printer needs to hit right there, so I'm just going to pull this value up until it just taps it right there at that moment. So it's kind of a neat way to cheat things. This value here should really be off the charts a little bit more. Just that one though. Last thing we need to do is go back to this guy and just make sure the rotation goes all the way through, which it doesn't. You can see right here it actually stops way before the end of the keyframe. Sorry. So let's continue this on. So it's the same speed, but continues on past the end of the animation. I think it's going the wrong direction. Does it seem like it's going the wrong direction? You know what's happening is it's actually going the right direction, but so fast that it seems like it's going the wrong direction. It's actually going inverse counterclockwise, but since it seems like it's kind of going past each mark, it just has this appearance like it's going forwards because it's a square. Let's lower that speed a bit more. Change this interpolation to linear again. I think that rotation should be purely linear. There you go. Now it's going the right speed. It's an optical illusion. It's like taking a photograph of a car tire moving. Okay, for some reason this guy got off a little bit on its rotation. Just double check. You have to kind of go back and forth between these two values. Just make sure it hits at the right location just by moving this other endpoint a little bit further one way or the other. If you wanted to, you could actually take this point right here, hold the control key down, make an absolute keyframe right there no matter what. It's going to hit that keyframe at that location. And from here you can adjust the other ones, but you know that that keyframe right there is going to be at the right spot. So you can speed things up, slow things down if you wanted to, but you know that that location right there is going to hit that each time. So if I wanted to speed this up, I could simply take this keyframe down here, pull it downward. And since that angle is actually slowing down as it comes up, which it might happen actually, you might actually have the keyframe slow down. Turn this lock vertical off. It'll slow down a little bit. I think it's going to slow down a lot. So a little more speed there. Go back to your major component here and grab flick, drag that into your scene like that, and it should align to the previous one. We can line that up with an alignment tool. There you go. So now you got two elements, flicking and pressing. So we can copy paste this, copy paste. That's a text layer. You can just simply copy. And in pressing, you can just go, you double click it, you can highlight. So this would be flicking. Make sure there's enough space in there so it doesn't look like something else. Go over a little bit more. Hold Shift key, you can kind of select both of those and give them to line up. It does also an alignment tool. It's the same alignment tool you use in inside of Illustrator as well. So there you go. So flick. Again, make sure your kerning is correct there. Cool. And make it have this one repeat if you wanted to. That's a possibility as well. That's actually pretty easily done if you go back to the flicking one. I'm going to take this keyframe here, this guy, I'm going to go to the position of the flick square, X and Y position, pull back on where it ends up, and it just has to come up a little bit further on the X and mostly the Y. So a higher number is down further. So you got room to actually repeat this whole movement. And that's actually very easily done. Great thing about these composites, I can take flicking. I can simply trim the end of this clip off right here. This is pre-comp. You can do this with films as well. Oops, that's the word flicking, not the flick itself. Let's put that underneath its text or vice versa. I can pull this back here and right about where it's done. It's kind of done its thing here. Sort of stop it right there. Copy and paste it. So you have another copy right on top of itself. So there you can have it reappear and, you guessed it, paste itself again. You got another section there. That's probably good enough. We'll just pull this to extend it. So it just kind of finishes up the same thing. So this is basically what you do. Just keep doing these things. Find the find some these expressions. I'm actually going to look up this for you. Laban movement theory. And if we look at the images, this is something we talk about quite a lot in our Laban movement theory. So these are these 8 different kinds of expressions. Flick is a light, sudden gesture. A float is a indirect, sustained gesture. Slash is sudden and indirect. Ringing is sustained and heavy. Sudden is punching, so pressing and ringing. Sustained direct is pressing. Sudden and light is dabbing. And sustained light is gliding. So think about sustained and sudden, direct, indirect, light and heavy. Those are the different quadrants of movement. And pretty much any animation you want to do can be kind of divided into these different quadrants. So just look up Laban movement theory, and this is kind of the area. It's also kind of expressed sometimes in 3-dimensional graphs such as this. I think this is a little bit easier for us to kind of see. But these inner circle here, this gliding, flicking, floating, slash, ringing, punching, pressing, and dabbing, animate those. Just do 6 of them. Pick your favorite 6. I showed you 2 already. So try to think about how you can, do all those expressions with just the simple object we have, and do a nice layout, really nicely designed. Do all 6 of these guys, and again, make sure you have proper kerning here. If you need to, really space those out. But the kerning is the same as in Illustrator, so Alt-right mouse button might be a nice thing to do. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Actually, have these have different kerning for different expressions too. Cool. All right. If you have any questions, give me a holler. But again, just keep doing these and lay them out just like this. Again, you can use the distribute function there to get them all lined up. Same stuff you do in Illustrator. Copy and paste and put this down like that. Basically, when you're finished, you should have 6 different animations, all doing different things. Okay? Of course, this one here will be repeated multiple times. All right, you get the idea. Sounds good. Any questions? Give me a holler.